We're back.
So we're a couple weeks into
It's
2020
It's good.
now.
Been a good start to the year.
Yep. And I'm sure a lot of people probably made a New Year's resolution of some sort.
I did not.
I didn't either because I never follow them. And I was just thinking about this, like, maybe out there, someone's New Year's resolution was, hey, this year I'm going to start a film studio or film production company or whatever. So
2020, this is my year.
It's my year. New year, new me.
You know what? I'm not going to lie. It's a good year to do it.
So
it's an even year.
It is an even year.
Turn of the century. Not century.
So
decade.
I wanted to pose this question to us.
Yeah.
If you could give advice, if you could give anyone who's maybe thinking about starting a studio or a film production company or anything that we do, what would be the advice you give them?
What would I tell someone who wants to be my competitor?
Don't do it.
Congratulations, you're not gonna have a hard time. It's gonna It's dark.
Wow.
Ouch. 2020 is gonna be great.
Keep telling yourself that.
Just kidding. All right, no. I think it's a good question. I mean, we get asked it a lot from people who we just come across, like kids coming out of high school thinking about what do I do with my life, and I like film. Is this a viable career? Blah blah blah. So I think it's a cool topic. Like specifically, do you want to start a studio or a production company? What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, I guess production company, because like the studio is just it's a part of what we do.
Let's say we put the framework around a studio like we did it.
Yeah.
Because like what we do,
somebody wants to do what we're doing.
We are like owner operators.
Yep.
We run our business and we operate our business. Yep. So a project comes in, we are shooting it, we're editing it, we're doing the graphics, we're doing the animation,
concepts,
we're doing the creative, we're writing the scripts, we're finding the music.
I mean, we run the studio, we put up the light.
Right. We built the studio for a reason, for our clients to get big benefit from it.
Right.
So let's assume someone's doing that, because there are other levels of people who can get into the game and get into this industry, such as just wanting to be a producer, and all they want to do is manage people and make projects happen, and they're really good at that. So that's.
But I'm talking about from the aspect of what we're doing. You're owner operator. You have you're doing creative for clients, and maybe you have a studio also.
And maybe that, let's just say, like their end goal is similar to ours.
Sure.
They want to make a commercially viable business to fund their narrative storytelling endeavors.
Yeah.
Something like that, right? Okay, so that's cool. For me, I feel like the biggest thing that always held us up, and still does to this day, but I do think we're doing a better job of remedying it, is the search for perfection.
Yeah.
I always, especially early on, we would create small projects, and it's got to be perfect. This has to be absolutely perfect, and we're just like, as time goes on, you're like, just get it done.
What does that even mean?
And then a lot of times you are like, all right, I'm gonna get it done. I'm gonna get it done.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get it done. But you're like, but it has to be perfect, and that perfect idea doesn't come to you,
right.
And you don't know how to make it perfect, or as you're working on it, you clearly look at it and you're like, this is the furthest thing from perfect, and it stops you from working on it.
Yeah.
And over time, that delay and that gap grows larger and larger.
Right.
And eventually you just completely stop working on the project altogether.
Right.
And now what do you have? You have a bunch of data sitting on a hard drive, buried in a shelf, archived away somewhere. And you're like, well, maybe if I ever feel inspired, I'll get to it.
Right.
And it stops us from creating.
Right.
And I think like we got into this as creatives. We want to be creators and be creative people. And I think the search for perfection a lot of times halts us. And it's been, I don't know exactly how long it's been, but you have started coming in with the mantra, and you almost instilled the mantra here of finished, not perfect.
Right.
And I think ever since you started telling me that, reminding me that, like, just get it done. It doesn't need to be perfect. Ever since you started talking about or talking in those terms, the work we've been doing has been getting better.
Yeah. Less time and it comes out better.
Less time comes out better, and genuinely not perfect.
Right.
Because what is perfection?
Right.
Perfection's unobtainable.
Yep.
You can't reach it. You can't grab it.
Yeah.
It's always a moving goalpost.
Yeah.
And what it's taught us is, that kind of sucked this time. Do it differently next time.
Right. And what's the point of even obtaining perfection, right? Because in a year, you're just going to look back on it and be like, there's things I would do differently.
Yeah.
Every single time. You think Scorsese looks back on every single one of his films and can't find something that he wouldn't do differently?
He probably doesn't think Mean Streets is perfect.
Right.
Nah, I mean,
but when he made it, he was like, this is great. This is what I want this to be.
Well, it was his story.
Yeah.
You know, Michelangelo probably carved a lot of pieces of stone that ended up in the quarry.
Right.
That no one ever saw.
Yeah. But I think you're right. I think the superficial push for perfection and not for getting better by continuously creating and putting stuff out and getting critique and refining.
Yeah.
Just held us back from doing anything.
You know what's really interesting about that? As we talk through this, that is so evident in our experience. One of the things that really comes to mind in this is the use of technology. When we entered the industry, digital was just coming in.
Yeah.
As like an actual... I mean, even when we started...
When we were in film school, you brought in a 7D, and we all... practically crapped our pants.
But even then, no one thought digital was going to... When we were in film school, even after we graduated, no one thought digital was going to replace film.
Right.
They pretty much said, red is not a thing. It's a gimmick. Okay, cool, it's 4K. Well, it's only 12 stops dynamic range. It's like, film gives you 16. It'll never imitate film. Right. It'll never give you the feeling of film. It's like, I don't know. Tell Roger Deakins that.
Right.
Now. And, he's going to be sitting there saying, no, I shoot everything Arri Alexa for a reason. Well, when we were in film school, we saw that technology as perfection. Like, we had the opportunity to see projects that were shot on the red one with Arri Master Primes, and we saw the image that was created, and we're like, that is gorgeous. That is beautiful. That is perfect. That is perfect filmmaking right there. Like, I want to do that. And then that became, like, the goal. Like, that's what I'm going to do every time.
Right.
And right away, we didn't have any access to that equipment. And so, like, the work we were creating was less than that. And we were kind of okay with it because, like, well, we're going to build up to that, and it'll be awesome. Like, we're going to get there. It's cool. But then we kept trying to seek that level of perfection, even with technology and just the cameras we used.
Right.
And it stopped us from getting projects, from growing, because we were overbidding projects for expensive shoots.
Yeah.
That the
we're
client,
going to want to bring the red to this.
You're going to want the red here. You want to know why? Because I don't want a paycheck. And you're like, what? Yeah. What are you doing? Like,
well, we learned that early on that, people don't care about the minutia of tech and of,
people don't.
Right.
But we did because that was the perception of perfection.
Right.
To us.
Right.
Well, you got to shoot everything on the red.
And if you don't,
you're
a
it's
schmuck.
You're a schmuck. You don't deserve to be in this industry.
Right.
You know how much richer I would be right now if I would have listened to myself back then on that?
I think even just like, dude, more prolific.
What we've learned over the years from that is the technology that you bring to a shoot does not matter.
Right.
I don't care if you have lights or don't have lights. If you have an idea and you have the ability to pull out your iPhone or whatever and shoot your story, do it. Because guess what you're going to do? You're going to finish it. You're going to be able to watch it and be like, man, that is just, it's really dark.
Yeah.
I can't see anything.
Right.
Or like, boy, I really wish I didn't have a fixed focal length that I had, and I could do things different. You'll learn.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it's not going to be perfect.
It's almost like, and I've thought about this before, because I do think that the level of perfection, sticking on that topic, because I do think that's the For me too, I think that's the number one piece of advice that I would say. Like anyone getting into this, like, hey, just be okay with you don't think that this thing is perfect. It never will be.
Right.
You know? Move on to the next one. Fix what you didn't like, because you're going to find something new in the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And after you do that 100 times, you might get something you're like, dang, I actually think I don't have a problem with this one. And then a year you will.
Right.
So I think because we've always looked at stuff and been like, well, if you can't do it to the nth possible degree of everything,
right,
everything that we've done here,
then it's not worth
doing.
It's
not worth doing, or we're not gonna, not gonna say it's done until it's there. I think, stop thinking that, because
it's like, stop looking at every opportunity as a chance for you to create the next masterpiece, and start looking at every opportunity as just that. An opportunity.
Yeah, dang.
It's an opportunity to do something. People, I'm not saying people shouldn't try to search for like that new thing or that new way to do something. Like, that's cool, totally good. Guess what? You're not going to discover that if you don't try things.
Right.
And then I would say, like, if you're on like film number 3 or 4 in a row, and you're like, boy, this sure seems like it's getting worn out,
getting a little redundant.
Or
okay,
like,
fine.
boy, well, great. Try something new.
Those are perfectly fine thoughts to have.
Right. Now,
but to sit there before you've made anything and say, this is not going to be here if I don't have this and this. And
if I don't have a drone, the Ari Alexa, and an 8x8 Genie crew.
Right.
What?
I mean, dude, like Robert Rodriguez, that was his whole stance on the no film school thing that he was doing. The idea was like his kind of shtick or whatever is he'd have a light, a pro light, and a pro camera, and he'd say, if you know what this is, then you have too much. You know too much. And I think about that sometimes, where it's almost like knowing the quote unquote like correct way of doing things, I feel like stifled, I mean, at least in our case, and I think does do this to other people, but stifled the ability to be a prolific creator.
As long as safety is not sacrificed.
Well, yes, I don't mean the right way as far as safety. I mean like the right way as far as like, well, you need Aries, and you need a red, and you need this, and you need that.
Hands down, I can look at any project that we've created and that others create, and I could hold up projects that were shot on DSLRs and projects that were shot on higher-end cinema cameras.
Yeah.
The Red and the Alexa.
Right.
And I would be able to tell you the difference.
Yeah.
Right? And I know the difference.
Absolutely.
But that's because I've gotten to know the technology over the years.
Right.
But just to assume that I wouldn't be able to tell that story with a DSLR and that I needed a Red, that's not necessarily true.
And that's kind of what I'm talking about.
Right. There are some situations where, yes, maybe.
Sure. If you have the opportunity to, and
you have the budget to, but it should not stop you. And guess what? If you're sitting there saying, well, you just don't have the budget to do this. Well, why not? Well, because you can't afford the Red. Well, it's like, then that right there is a clear indicator of you needing to get more creative.
Right.
If you're sitting there and saying that your whole career is based on a piece of technology that, guess what, changes every 2 years.
Every 2 days, it seems like. Jeez.
The 6K Dragon sensor is now obsolete. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, right.
The Scarlet 5K is obsolete. It's like, come on. This is ridiculous. This should not be what defines you as a creative.
Right.
What should define you as a creative is, how do you use the tool that's placed into your hands?
Right.
And what do you want to tell? I don't care if you're using RE Sky panels or if you're using some Home Depot, those like heat lamp things, right? Like, whatever. You have a light. You want to communicate an emotion, or you want to communicate a tone in a scene. Place your lights how you want to place them. And guess what? If you don't have the equipment to do it how the professionals do it, or the Hollywood cinematographers do it, then good. Challenge accepted. That should be the mentality.
Right.
If a client comes back to you and says, this budget's too much, you should be like, great, awesome. I'm going to shoot it on this camera instead. And if they're like, whoa, is that going to make it worse? one, you're never going to get asked that question.
Yeah.
But two, if you do, maybe they have a marketing background or a video background or
Right.
something. I don't know. If they do ask you that, say, don't worry. You know, we can still make this happen in your budget. We can make this be successful for you because our team is creative enough to give you something that you're going to love.
Yeah. Because
And
your
that's
creativity is what's genius, not the technology in your hand.
And I think that's the thing I would tell people is like, don't be afraid of those challenges.
Right.
If you want to start this and you want to do what we're trying to do, great, do it.
Yeah.
And take every chance you can get to make something creative. I did not take every chance I could get.
Yeah, I didn't either. I think we could safely say that, and that's why we're trying to offer this advice now.
Right.
It's like we sought this superficial idea of perfection, and it stopped us from creating many times.
And people told us, take every chance.
Right.
Every opportunity you get to do something, do it. And we didn't do it.
Yeah.
And, you know, we bear the responsibilities of it. And I don't think it's bad necessarily. I don't think we're in a bad place. I think I'm very happy with where I am in life. However, had I seized some opportunities when I had the chance, probably would have been okay.
Yep.
I'd probably be a little bit further down the road. Maybe made that one connection that leads to another connection. My network builds. You just never know.
Right.
And it's like, so, and, I mean, I would just say, like, do not seek perfection. If you seek perfection, your creativity will be stifled, and you will not finish. And if you can't finish a project, then you can't critique a project. And if you can't critique a project, you can't learn, and then you cannot make it better on the next one.
You can't sit there on 8 years of pondering perfection and saying, well, now I think when I make my thing, it will be perfect. Because it won't, and then you only have one film under your belt when some dude who's been making finished not perfect projects for 8 years is getting called for everything because he's made 100 films.
Right, and he's just stupid prolific all the time. Well, you know, and I think about that like writing a feature film. You know, we had one of these real talks of like, how do you get over that hump? How do you finish a screenplay? And it's like, that's straight up. It's like,
finished,
you
not
can
perfect.
sit there and think all day long about, oh, my beat outline and my treatment, and oh, what happens in this scene, and I got to move my note cards around. And you can do all that crap, which is correct process in a studio model.
Right.
Yeah, you can do it that way, or you know what? You could just sit down and you could write 60 pages of complete BS.
Right.
And maybe you're going to delete it all. But guess what? You're going to have 60 pages further than you would have had you not written it.
Right.
And you still got to write those 60 pages. So it's like you could think things, and honestly, sometimes when you sit and think too much, you way overthink things, especially in the creative field.
And that goes into that level of perfection. Like when you sit there and just overthink things.
We're seeing that on this superhero short film that we're working on with our intern.
Yeah.
There are things we're like, why do we have him even say that?
Yeah.
Why?
We way overthought stuff, trying to get too clever.
What?
And it's just like,
because he needs another struggle? No, he doesn't.
Oh, yeah,
you
right.
Know, it's like, what is going on? He doesn't need this. Well, story says make his goal absolutely hard to obtain.
He always has to have a struggle. Every single thing has to be a struggle in your way.
And it's like
or you could just give the audience a fun frickin' film to watch.
Well, yes, every struggle or yes, you have to have struggles in your character's way. But you don't have to have 700 struggles in your character's way.
Right, yeah.
You can have 3.
Right.
In a 20-minute film, that's more than enough.
It's like if he had a struggle and he got the thing he wanted, he doesn't need to have another struggle before he gets the thing that he got that he what are we doing?
Right.
You know, so
right. So
yeah.
I mean, that's my thing. Is like don't seek perfection and do it with a certain level of reckless abandon.
Yeah.
But that's kind of cliche to say, but I would just say like set your goals out, figure out what you want to do, and guess what? Your goals, treat them like you can throw them away tomorrow.
Yeah.
And don't pretend like those are the perfect end-all be-alls. Because like this studio that we're sitting in now, at one point, this studio was our goal.
Yeah.
And then we got it. And then we're like, now what?
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's always going to change.
Yep.
So that's my advice.
Yeah, no, I think that's good advice. And I agree with you. I think, I think ultimately that's the best piece of advice I think both of us could offer to anyone trying to start out doing what we're doing. Just, don't seek this idea of perfection. Finish stuff. Experiment, take opportunities, have integrity, and create. just be creative. Just create all time. Just
all
create.
the time. And another kick in the pants is, in all reality, it's not up to you to decide if your work is perfect or not.
Yeah, if you're doing
And
client work, I mean, it's up to the client.
No, it's not even a client work. If you're making your own narrative,
Oh, yeah.
you're not going to be able to sit there and be like, my film is perfect. And everyone in the audience is throwing tomatoes at the screen saying, this is a piece of S.
Yeah.
And you're like, nope, it's perfect.
Yeah. You're gonna.
It's up to the audience.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And so it's almost, that fear of judgment of, is it not going to be perceived as perfect? That almost stops people. So don't be afraid of that.
Right.
People are going to hate your crap.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
It's gonna happen.
Because it's not that. They don't dig it. There's a reason there are genres. There's a reason there are fan bases. There's a reason for all of that. It's because people like different things.
Yeah.
And so you can't please everybody. I guess that would be perfect.
Right.
That's impossible. And so...
yeah. You can't please everybody. Don't strive for perfection. Just be creative and create every day.
And don't pretend like you're perfect.
Yeah.
So that's my advice, is don't seek perfection. So if you guys watching are thinking about starting your own studio, or you want to embark on this type of endeavor that Steve and I have for whatever reason, and you're looking for more advice, feel free to leave a comment down below. We'll get back to you. We'll answer any question you might have, or drop us a DM. That's cool as well. We're always here to learn and help educate, and hopefully give you, our audience, a little bit more value in what it takes to run a video production company like ours. So until the next one, see you later.
See ya.